Hello, students. This is Mr. Heath. We talked about, group work and the scoring rubric that goes with that. What I want to do in this video is talk about something I'm sure you're highly focused on, and that is your scoring rubric in terms of your grade for your class. So for assessments like quizzes, whatnot. So let's take a look here at the scoring rubric. Any type of assessment you have for a grade, and even not for a grade in terms of your do-nows, your you-dos, we're going to be using this idea of expert, junior expert, apprentice, and novice. And we'll make sure that we really understand that we may sometimes be at novice, but we have the potential, and hopefully I have the skill and ability to help you become an expert. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at these. Let's look at novice. So it says if a student was during a novice or 1 point, what they would have is missing, so no work at all, or incorrect answer with little evidence of reasoning or application of mathematics. Now, when we say these things, we're like, well, what does that mean? Do not worry. I have samples of a question from an exam. Gonna go over the novice, the apprentice, and the junior expert and the expert with you, so you'll have an idea and a video to reference every time before you take an assessment, or just to understand that. So let's go over some definitions here. Application of mathematics. You want to see that defined as the use of arithmetic and or mathematical thinking. So I could be doing 2 plus 2, or I could be doing every even number, or something like that. And you remember that from our exercise we did with the Taco Tuesday. That's mathematical thinking. So then it says definition. For evidence, we're going to use the definition of information used to support a person's reasoning. So that's what we're going to define evidence is. And if we look at reasoning, we're going to define reasoning as a person making sense of something in a logical, sensible way. Very short sentences, but they're very important definitions as we go along here, okay? And that covers the sort of the wording we're using here in terms of success on the scoring rubric. So like we said earlier, that this type of scoring rubric is also used on your do-nows and your you-dos, even though you don't earn a grade on it, okay? So let's go ahead and slide this up to the next one. So let's give you an example here of using this idea of 4 points for everything. So let's say that you take a 4-point exam. All right, let me get my writing tool here. So then let's say you take a 4-point exam. There's 4 challenges. All right, so challenge number 1 here, challenge number 2, whatever math is, we're not really concerned about that. We just want to make, and that should be challenge number 4. I didn't put that there. Challenge number 4. And so let's go through this and let's use this idea of what we said about the scoring. So every single challenge that you have in your assessment is going to have the potential for 4 points, okay? So every one of these possible 4 points earned, possible 4 points earned, possible 4 points earned. And let's say you have the 4 challenges, let's say it was a quiz or exam or whatever, and then you actually earn on the first challenge 4 points. Nice. We know we're an expert there. All right. And on the next one, out of a total of 4 points, you earned 3. Nice. Junior expert. And you earned a 4 out of 4 possible on this one. Nice. Expert. Had a little bit of an issue here on that one, okay? That scored you as an apprentice. So once you get these scores here, you can kind of add them together. Well, the total amount of points you could possibly get was 1 set of 4, 2 set of 4, 3 set of 4. Well, 4 sets of 4 is 16. And then the actual points you got, 2 sets of 4 is 8. Plus 5 is 13. And you get out the calculator or whatever you're going to do, and you divide the numerator into the denominator. Or, since you see the numbers here, the 16 into the 13. You can do that math and figure out what the percentage is. That person didn't do too poorly on that assessment. Let's put it that way, okay? And so that's what I want to give in terms of an example of what a quiz or a challenge might look like, and everything is possibly 4 points, possibly 4 points, possibly 4 points, possibly 4 points, and then these are your actual points totals out of that. We take those total amount of possible points, which was 16 in the situation. We take our actual points, put those in the denominator, and then we divide. Okay, let me go and clear this. All right, I want to do a scroll, so give me 1 second here. I want to scroll down some. So yeah, let's scroll back up. And so notice here, out of 4 possible points, we're always trying to go for the expert there. All right. So let's go up here. I think I didn't give all the things. I got a little too excited, went down to the work. So let's go back up here and finish out. So an apprentice for 2 points is missing or incorrect answer, but evidence of some reasoning or application of mathematics. What does that look like, Mr. Eve? Trust me, I have an example for you to watch, okay? So let's look at a junior expert. A correct answer with some evidence of some reasoning or application of mathematics, or this one, an incorrect answer with substantial evidence of solid reasoning or application of mathematics. The great thing about A grade mathematics is that some of you guys will get these the answers incorrect, and you're like, but I still earn like a B or B plus. Because remember, we're not so much worried about the answer, we're worried about the mental toughness and going through the process and explaining your thinking. So that's why the student here could get an incorrect answer and still score like a 3 out of 4, okay? And, it could be even higher if it involved decimal points, 3.5 out of 4. So let's go over and continue here. So for an expert, a correct answer is supported by substantial evidence of solid reasoning or application of mathematics. Mr. E, what is solid reasoning? What is application of mathematics? We simply go down here and we look at our definitions to guide us, okay? All right. So let's say that you took out your calculator and you went and you did all the mathematics and stuff, and you found out that the answer was going to be, give me 1 second here, that the answer was 81%. So then you could look and see what you rank on just overall assessment score, okay? Well, let me get my pen here. So 81% here. Let's see. You're not a novice by a long shot. You're not an amateur. You're not an apprentice. You're a junior expert. So really nice work on the student's part. They got it. They earned a B there. Good job to them. And of course, I'll be using decimal numbers. So, you might see possible 4 points here and someone actually gets 3. But if your work is more solid, it may be a 3.8. It may be a 3.75. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to, give me a second to erase and then get rid of that too. So we're going to go right here and continue on. So we're going to use this example of lemonade as our exemplar for the different types of scoring rubric scores you could earn, okay? So let's look at the situation here. This is your boy Tyler. So Tyler plans to start a lemonade stand and has created a tasty 1-gallon lemonade drink that is 12 cups of water for every 4 cups of lemonade mix. Note, 16 fluid ounces equals 1 fluid gallon. So keep that in mind, everybody. 16, or the total of the water and the lemonade, actually equals that amount of gallons of the cups. So let's take a look at our prompt here for this challenge. It says 1, find the rate of change or slope of the relationship in simplest form, and then 2, write a constant of proportionality equation for the line that the slope creates. Mr. I've never done this before. Oh my God. It's okay. Another thing is I want to use something that when we start getting a little more challenging idea like this with slope and whatnot, you can kind of go back and look at this video to guide you through in terms of what some answering strategies you could use. So you may not understand this concept or anything like that. That's not really important. It's more like how can you get this expert popping on. Okay. So let's go ahead and slide down there. We got our challenge. So let's see here. So I think it's really important, 8th grade math, and I'm going to keep on stressing this. We're not really looking for answer finders. So you're not looking like, what's the answer? Is it 3? We're looking more like problem solvers that can think and explain. Hopefully this example in terms of the response to that question where the student earned an expert will give you a better idea. So remember, let's go back up so you can understand what's happening here. Number 1. Actually, I'm going to grab this if I can't. Okay, it's not going to let me. All right. So number 1 says find the constant rate of change, slope. Okay, or excuse me, find the rate of change or slope of the relationship in its simplest form. So let's look at what this person puts here. Expert. So this person earned 4 points right here. So it says I created a ratio to represent the rate of change or slope. Good to know. So it was a ratio here. The rate of change was represented by the ratio 12/4. The ratio 12/4 states of the total of 16 cups of fluid, I should say like fluid in a gallon, you will need a mix of 12 cups of water 4 or 2, 4 cups of lemonade. Just depends how you see it. Some people say 4 cups, or 4 cups, something like that. Of lemonade mix to make a gallon of Tyler's tasty lemonade drink. Nice. They knew to go ahead and have that rate of change as a what? As a ratio. All right, so it's not bad. Mr. Heath, I don't understand this. Do not worry. When we get to this, and you go back and watch this video trying to look at expert responses, it'll be a little more clear, okay? So then the student goes on and says, even though I created a correct rate of change or slope, rate of change or slope, which is 12 over 4. Let me get my writing instrument to better highlight, which is 12 over 4 right here. This student recognized that this ratio, 12 over 4, it's not in simplest form. So they tell me, how did they get in simplest form? Well, we go down here. I got the ratio 12 over 4 in the simplest form by doing a wind up. This is something I tell my students, wind up. We always divide the numerator into the denominator. But to not be so, whatever clicky about it, I actually put the actual operation you should do. So I put here, dividing the denominator into the numerator. Mr. T, why do you say the numbers? I really want you to think of the idea that no matter what number is there, we're still going to divide the denominator, number in the bottom, whatever it is, into the numerator. Okay, and the reason why I want you to think that, because sometimes this can be hard for students to think, can I really divide that into that? And they won't go for it, as opposed to like, I need to. It doesn't really matter. It seems kind of crazy, but that's how it works. All right, so we go over here. They divided 12. So we go over here. How many sets of 4 and 12? 3. So they got a quotient of 3. This means that my ratio in its simplest form was converted into a whole number. And as you'll learn further on when you get into eighth grade math, if we need to graph it in slow form, we would just do it like that. All right. Mr. Heath, I don't understand. It's all good. I just want to kind of give you an example here. What is some expert work? You can see that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead from there with that expert response to number 1. Let's look at the expert response to number 2. What was number 2 again, Mr. Heath? Let's go back up and see here. It said, write a constant proportionality equation for the line that the slope creates. All right. So let's go down here. My response to number 2, remember, this is an expert response here. I then wrote out a constant of proportionality equation that looks like this. Y equals 3 times x. Okay. All right. With the variable k replaced with the digit 3 to represent the line that the slope rate of change would create when graphed upon a coordinate plane. Mr. Heath, I have no idea. Don't trip. You will have all sorts of ideas about this. I know if you're freaking out, please don't do that. So this is really laid out well by the student. They include what they're talking about. So they put the constant proportionality equation right there. And they write out the equation. I don't have to envision it. This is major, okay? Because I'm going to be like, well, where's the equation? And they let me know that for the variable k, because the original constant of proportionality equation looks like this. Do not trip. You will see this. If this is freaky you out, please do not worry, okay? And so what they do in this situation, they say, okay, I know the constant change is going to be 3, so I put y equals, let me put the arrow there, I guess. Y equals 3x, removing it from there. All right, this will be invaluable for you to look at in the future. So that's why I'm having some conversation you may not understand now, but you'll have a greater understanding in the future. All right, so that student, they banged on an expert. Okay, so let's go and see what an expert is again on our scoring rubric. All right, let's go up here. What they did in this situation was they had a correct answer. All the answers were correct, supported by substantial evidence of solid reasoning or application mathematics. I think that's some really good reasoning here. Let's look at some reasoning points they used. Of the total of 16 cups of fluid in a gallon, you need a mix of 12 cups of water by 4 cups of lemonade. This person lets me know they know that there's 16 cups of fluid, whatever, in a gallon. Some other areas where they kind of showed me here, they said, you know what, even though this is even though I did create a correct, ratio here, it's not simplest form. And here's how I do it. So you can see there's a lot of ways down here. They're thinking and reasoning. I wrote this out. I used this. I used the digit 3 to replace k. Then I can use this to represent a line that's graphed upon the coordinate plane. There's a lot of good reasoning there. All right, so we're going to move from an expert to a junior expert with the same questions, okay? And so remember the question is create the rate of change in simplest form. That's number one. So let's look at this person here. They are in 3 on this challenge. It says, I created a ratio that represents the rate of change or slope. The rate of change was represented by the ratio 12/4. The ratio 12/4 states, of the total of 16 cups of fluid in a gallon, you will need a mix of 12 cups of water for every 4 cups of lemonade lemonade mix to make a gallon of Tyler's Tasty Lemonade. Okay, looks expert so far. Even though I created the correct rate of change or slope, 12/4, this ratio 12/4 is not in the simplest form. Nice. I got the ratio 12/4 in the simplest form by doing a wind-up, dividing the denominator into the numerator. And notice how I didn't need to see him to put the numbers there because I can see already here what the numbers are right there. And he said denominator to the numerator. When I divide it, I got a quotient of 3. We've seen how that happens. This means that my ratio in its simplest form was converted into the whole number digit 3. But that's expert. Where did they get a junior expert? Let's take a look. I then wrote out the constant of proportionality equation. It looks like this. Y equals 3 up. And now you can see I have that highlighted in yellow because that equation is incorrect. It should be Y, as you remember early, equals 3x. They're missing the variable x. That's super important. I'm not going to go into detail right now about why that's important, but from running a business to anything else, it's very much changes the scenario. Okay, so this why this person did quality work on everything, but I had to ding them because they had the equation incorrect. But notice with this kid, they're not going to earn a 3 in real life. They'd earn like a 3.5 or 375 fun just because that's B plus action. They just made a simple mistake. They may even forgot. So that person, they may not get the A, but they're going to get really close to the A in terms of scoring, but they make a mistake like that. All right, so let's erase. So now let's go to the one where we're getting down to apprentice where they've only earned 2 points. Okay, we don't really want to go there, but, this happens. So let's go ahead and stride just. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, I can't. Let me release this. Okay. All right, I think I went too far now. Yes. So let's go back here. All right. So we have apprentice. So there's going to be some mistakes in here. We just don't know it yet, but we'll see. So they earn 2 points as an apprentice. Their response, I created a ratio to represent the rate of change slope. The rate of change was represented by the ratio 12/4. The ratio 12/4 states, of the total of 16 cups of fluid in a gallon, you will need a mix of 12 cups of water to 4 cups of lemonade mix to make a gallon of Tyler's Tasty Lemonade. That's expert talk. Even though I created the correct rate of change slope, 12/4, this ratio, 12/4, is not in simplest form. Okay, good start. Let's continue on. Then they write, I then got the ratio 12/4 into simplest form. Why am I highlighting this? They never told me how they got in simplest form. I mean, I can see the 3 down there, but now I got to give them a phone call at home. Not going to happen, but I'm just saying it's a joke. I get them a phone call at home and say, hey, how'd you get that 3 all of a sudden? And they're going to be so like, duh, Mr. I divided. And I'm going to be like, why do you write that? And, that's the moment they're like, oh, yeah. And so you can notice here, this person says, I then got the ratio into simplest form. Great. Well, how did you do that? Going back to the idea of if I say how, when, why or something, probably going to get dinged. Well, how did you do that? Bing. So let's go over here. Then the response to number 2. I then wrote out a constant of proportionality equation that looks like this. They got hammered again because they did y equals 3. What do we say they're missing from the earlier one? They're missing the x value. So once again, they need to have y equals 3x. They don't have that. So you can see there are 2 crucial mistakes they make, and that's why they earn an apprentice. Okay, so I hope that gives you clarity. And let's look at the novice. All right, here's my novice. I'm going to move this up here. So the novice person earns 1 point. Let's look at the response that earns a person a novice. I would first turn the 16 cups into a ratio to make the tasty lemonade drink. Okay, how would that ratio look? And they never tell me that. So there goes my how question. So let's go down to the second part. They do right for the first response. The ratio will be 12 cups of water to 4 cups lemon mix. Agreed. Where's my ratio? How do you represent that correct statement mathematically? Where is my 12 over 4? So that's where they get hit. Where? How? Let's go over to response number 2. The constant of proportionality equation is y equals kx. I would use that to graph. They never place the letter k here or the variable k here with the digit 3. They just basically don't really know. So you say something like, here's the equation. I use it to graph. Not going to work. So you can see why the student would earn I think it's a novice in this situation here, okay? Hopefully these give you, this example I used here gives you a greater clarity. If you don't, let me know, and I will definitely work with you so you can understand how the scoring rubric, works, so you can do a good job in using the scoring rubric as you do your work on your assessments. All right.